Get ready for the world's greatest Arsenal podcast. Welcome to another podcast by Guns and Yellow Ribbons. Enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Guns and Yellow Ribbons. My name is Fergus. I am your host. I'm full of cold. Cold, not COVID. This super cold that's gone around at the moment. My head is just full of snot and everything else, and I'm coughing and spluttering. But I do have three good friends to help me through this. I've got back from a hiatus, Johnny from the North Bank. I've got our Moroccan sunset, Dan, and the man with the atmosphere, the man with the songs, the man with the music, Ben Bennett. I suppose the first one we should go to is Ben because of the songs, and we are going to talk to you. Ben, welcome to the show. This is your you're breaking your dock on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yeah, I'm just getting through the COVID business. Like some others after Leicester, I think there seems to be a bit of a wave after that, but I don't know if I've got it from there. But yeah, I'm a couple of days away from just getting out of the isolation and back to a bit of normality on Sunday, which has been a bit of an absolute nightmare. But it is what it is, and you just got to carry on, haven't you?
It is, and look, listen. The main thing is that you're more or less safe and well. Yes, you got isolated and do the things that are right for everybody else, but you're safe and well. Johnny, you haven't been here for how long has it been? And listen, you're very smart. You know, very smart. Have you upgraded? Have you been promoted in life?
In life, in body and mind. Yeah, I got a new job.
I'm normally expecting a pizza line about there, a beer about there, and you're knackered after getting off your motorbike. That's normally what I see.
Yeah, well, now I'm living that executive life now. I've got a new managerial job.
The management, isn't it? People
I
will remember who is.
Yeah. So I started today. I had to buy a shirt. First time I wore a shirt in ages, absolutely, probably years since I've worn a shirt. I'm more of a polo shirt kind of guy.
And I don't know if I'm encumbered with this man's company or he's encumbered with mine, but myself and Dan have become good friends over the last couple of years in Block 5. A silver member that now is a season ticket holder. We've been away to Leicester, which we'll talk about in a minute. We also will talk about the Watford game afterwards. Dan, how you doing, mate? Listen, I'm feeling very overdressed here, you know, underdressed even. Not overdressed, I'm an Arsenal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me if I sell windows at the game when I turn up and we say, well, I don't sell windows. I'm an accountant, so if anyone needs an audit, give me a shout.
Oh, sorry, accountant. I fell asleep.
But yeah, no, I'm good. We see each other quite a bit now. I think you're one of the only people that seem to sing along to some of my songs, and likewise with yours. I think the Aubameyang song. I think we only seem to have people that a lot of that.
Listen, we'll get into songs and we'll get into singing because Ben Bennett is the man who invents some crap ones, but some really good ones. Actually, Dan and you and Ben should get on really, really well. But listen, before we start, I'm going to jump to the Leicester game first and foremost. It is Remembrance Day today, and what Leicester did because of their last home game before Remembrance Day is they've done an absolutely outstanding poppy display that was observed more or less impeccably. There was a few idiots in the bar that didn't realise what was going on, and you type of excuse them, but they were told to shush quite quickly. But it was outstanding how that was done. The card display. Ben and Dan, you were up there. What were your thoughts? I'll go to you, Ben. What do you think about it first of all?
Oh yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Just the whole setup of it all, and they even actually announced just before we went up to take our seats. They told us to take up our seats early because of obviously for the remembrance and of course the anniversary of the Leicester owner as well with the disaster. But yeah, it was all organised. I mean, I don't understand why so many people walked up so late. And yeah, there was a little bit of a disturbance, but overall it was pretty immaculate. The whole setup and the way we actually. We appreciated it, and we certainly respected it as the 3,300 that were in there, and as well as the whole ground, really. But yeah, it was a brilliant occasion.
Dan, you travelled up in the car with me and Big Tony and Ross Hogg. God, Jesus, get a word in edgeways, eh? What a journey! What a journey!
Yeah,
we went through everything.
I think there wasn't anything we didn't speak about on the way up there. We set the whole world to rights on the way up to that.
It was the least football journey with a smattering of football sport in it. We went through absolutely. We're not going to go into the topics on here because it will just like blow people's minds. But it was quite highbrow for four lads gone to the football, wasn't it?
Yeah, not enough alcohol on board, I think, to get onto the football at that point. But yeah, we had some good topics. But yeah, we touched on the football as well. And like you said, when we got there, it was good atmosphere. I think.
Well, when we got there, it was like jumping into a swimming pool. Well, I practically did. I went ankle deep in a puddle as we got out of the car, and we went to what was the name of it was the Corn Exchange in the centre of Leicester, which old man Trev, who's not here today, but you listen. We don't ever not have old man Trev here. We have.
I agree. Listen,
we
let's
have
get a little bit more cheerful.
Old man Trev
we have got old man Trevor, Hilsey Gooner, all the way out in. What's the name of the town you're in? Where are you? You're in Portugal.
Hello, boys. Can you hear me? Because you're on my iPhone.
Trev, Halloween was Thursday, mate.
Am I that bad?
Trev, you're looking good, son. You're looking good.
I'm drunk, boys. We've had a few beers. It's €1 a bottle. We're in Guimarães. I don't care about the manager. I don't care about the players. It's a proper away trip, isn't it? European away. So I'm drunk and I'm.
What more would you expect from Trev, eh? Drunk on the away day. But Trev told us to meet at the Corn Exchange, and Weatherspoons had breakfast, which didn't agree with me, but we won't go into that one. But Johnny, you watched it from afar. Obviously, you got moving house and stuff like that. How did it come across on the telly to you? Because from us in the stadium, I walked into the stadium about a half hour beforehand, and I honestly, even when I've walked into Wembley and so on, the noise when we hit the inside of the stadium was just out of this world, and it carried on practically for 2 hours continuously. How did it come across on the telly?
So now normally I find that when we've got away fans at our ground, they turn up the mics there to make it sound like they're louder. But when we're away, we never really get the same kind of treatment. But the fans were so loud and singing so much, it didn't matter what mic they had going on. You could hear it all the way around. It was just constant. It was amazing. I just was so jealous that I wasn't able to go and experience it with myself. And it just seems like as the teams got better, the crowds got better, and you could hear it every time through the telly. It's got better and better.
Ben, sorry, I'm sniffing. Ben, I don't know if you heard or if you saw. There was down at the front, the policeman in the corner taking pictures of everybody because we're all hooligans and everything else. But the along to the side of the pitch, there was some photographers along there, and there was one particular photographer, about 3 along. And when we started off with that Emil Smith Rowe song, he turned around and he just went, "Oh, yeah, that's good." Now, we talked at half-time about the atmosphere there. We touched on atmospheres at the Emirates before, and we will touch about the Watford game and Tottenham songs being sang and everything else. There wasn't a Tottenham song sang at all until we ran out of songs and we were leaving the stadium, and we just decided to say they got battered. But that was almost pointless. But it was outstanding, wasn't it? And I know it sounds stupid I'm talking about an atmosphere, but there is something happening within the fan base as well as on the pitch, and it's important to talk about that.
We'll talk about Leicester first. Well, that's probably up there with one of the best, definitely for a lunchtime kickoff atmospheres for an away end for a long, long time. It was just incredible. I mean, it was just constant songs, and it was different songs, and it was atmospheric songs. It was none of the "what do you think of Tottenham?" We didn't hear any of that in the ground. I heard a couple of blasts on the concourse before the game, and they got pretty much drowned out. And I think the reason why it was so good is just the fact that everyone that was there just to back the team, back the players and back the team, forgetting Tottenham, and just back everything that was in front of them. and it literally it was like a breath of fresh air. It was unbelievable, and everyone that took up every one of the 3,300 that were there made full use of their seats that day, and it was just absolutely brilliant. Honestly, it was everyone was just loud and proud, and it rubs off on the players as well. I think that's why we got such a really great performance as well. I mean, we took the goals well and that, but defensively we were so compact. There was fist pumping going on, and even the fist pumping and that just rubs off on the players into the crowd, and it just gets everybody up for it. It's such a big connection. The player-fan connection is huge, and it's the first time it's been as good as that for such a long time.
Dan, I don't know how many away. I know you've done Chelsea, or you've done the Wembley away trips a few times. You've done a few aways, but that's got to be one of the greatest ones that we've been to in quite some time. And then I want to get into the game itself, and we'll briefly cover that because it is nearly 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, no. To be fair, I've been away. The video showed earlier of Gamara's. I went Gamara's away, been to Madrid away, Spurs, Anfield. In all fairness, I think during the game, I mean, the early goals helped, but I think I've not seen an away end that loud for that longer period of time. And it just feels a little bit like we're starting to get the club back as it was when I was growing up. And, being taken to Highbury as a young kid and the crowd as they were there. And I know, people say how Highbury wasn't the loudest ground. But just the way that the fans and the club are interacting now, and I think from the top down in the club, they're starting to get things right. And I know a lot of people are critical of the Kroenkes and Stan Kroenke, etc. But some of the videos that a lot of people have watched recently of Josh Kroenke and Arteta's interview in his 100th match, the way they come across and the way they interact with the fan base now, and you see players giving shirts to young kids and like you said, fist pumping to the crowd, and all of that is just what makes a fan's day out.
But Dan, that's absolutely nothing to do with the Kroenkes, and I will not allow the Kroenkes get any credit for Aaron Ramsdale giving his boots and his shirt, for Gabriel coming over and to us, for Aubameyang coming over to us, for the team coming over. I'll give some credit to Arteta, but I will give nothing, absolutely nothing, to Stan Kroenke. Let's look at the game itself. So on the game, we started really, really bright with 30 minutes where we came at them, Johnny, and we just obliterated them. And we type it just like for a 12:30 kickoff, which Jack L said in the chat earlier about the support, but also on the pitch, it's normally a really lackluster game. I often go to the pub and watch the 12:30 game, and you think, oh Christ, now why am I bothering? It's just going to be awful. But it was outstanding and a great 30 minutes of control.
Yeah, but the stats back up that we don't really enjoy midday kickoffs. Any kickoff between 12 and 1, we don't generally do very well. But I think a couple of managers, and even Brendan Rodgers said as well, that we're starting games really well. We're coming out the trap strong and really pushing our game onto the opposition, as opposed to thinking, how can I put up with them? That we're pushing our game onto them. And it's all happened since we've managed to close the transfer window and get the team straight as how we wanted it, and we haven't lost a game since. And it's this fast start has been a signature of this Arteta side since he got his settled team.
Who do you think is responsible for that team, though, Johnny?
What do you mean, the side that we managed to assemble?
Yeah, the side we're starting to put together, the young side.
I think he was. I'm in two minds with Arteta, because he obviously pushed for Willian last season, and he wanted the experience and stuff like that to control the ball and stuff. And they've taken a different tact, and they've obviously scouted these players and got a profile of player, and it was something that we were asking for, and we've managed to get it now. And I think it is to do with Edu. I don't think it's to do with Arteta. And it is obviously a tactic and a progression they're looking towards, a path to building something. because you can't always have an out-of-box, fresh, ready-to-go player. Sometimes you have to build it in. We've got an IKEA side. We haven't got a made.com side.
Well, I think Johnny, if you're looking at players like that, those Brazilian players, I think that was far much more to do with Edu and what's his name, the agent, the super agent who was just trying to palm off.
Kia Diruption.
That's the fella. Looking at the game itself, though, like we had 3 good goals, but whatever about the first 30 minutes, first half, we hung on towards the end of the first half. And Ben, I don't know if you went out for a beer or not. Because I was driving, I stayed there till the 45th, 46th, 47th minute, whatever it was. And right in my eye line, I witnessed a save that I used to watch in comic books as a kid with the cat, etc. And Ramsdale's save, and Ramsdale's performance then going into the second half, along with the defensive players, which I'll talk to the other guys about. But Ramsdale's performance for that save first and foremost, and then subsequently through the second half.
First things first, I did see the save. Luckily enough, Trev actually come up with a pint for me at half time there, so I managed to watch the full 47 minutes. It turned out, I think, in the end, and luckily enough, I did. I see the save, but what a save though! Just unbelievable. I've not seen a save as good as that for such a long time, and it obviously got all the plaudits from the likes of Schmeichel and a couple of others, but it was just unbelievable, and it was. It's almost as good as a goal when you've been under the cosh for a little bit. I mean, of course, we started so well and got the 2 goals, but the last sort of 20 minutes of the first half, they're obviously going to come back at us, and they had a couple of little chances as well. But I mean, to me, that was. I said to a couple of people next to me, I said, "Look, that's massive. That save is just." I mean, it's right on half time.
And the timing of it as well, Ben. The timing of it as well was huge.
It's the difference in 2-1 and obviously 2-0, and they've obviously got to change. If it goes 2-1, then strategies and things like that change at half time. But that's just such a key point of the game. And of course, we rode the storm just after that, after half time for 20 minutes, and they was always going to come at us. But the importance of that save and the timing, and just the way it was just. It was just unbelievable. It was just it's so much you could talk about it, and like he does all the stuff on the training ground and things like that. But he's absolutely at full stretch, and to even get that much of a strong hand behind it, and then it fell on the deck, and there was nearly a follow up. But you ride that luck at the time, but he deserved anything like that.
There was like 3 saves in one, Ben. There was and then you Gabriel cleared off the line, and then as you said, like we were under the cosh in that first half. Dan, second half, again still under the cosh, and it was a lot down to Ramsdale to keep us in. He made 2 or 3 more saves, but defensively we are looking more solid. You know, okay, with the exception of Kieran Tierney versus Nuno Tavares, that back 5, including the keeper, it picks itself every week, doesn't it?
I think it does away from home. I know a lot of people have been raving about Tomiyasu, and don't get me wrong, I like him, and I think he's been good. I still think when we're at home, in certain games, we're going to need a more attacking fullback on the right hand side. I still think he gives the ball away a lot, and I still haven't seen him put in a decent cross. So there's my only reservations with him. As much as I still agree, I like him, and he looks good. But I think as a platform to start on, that's a great young, solid back 5 that is only going to get better. And it's nice to see us be able to soak up a bit of pressure away from home. I think any other season, the last couple of seasons, we would have collapsed. And then for the final 20 minutes to be able to come out and be a bit more confident and go forward as well. I think Ødegaard coming on at that point made quite a bit of a difference to get us up the field a little bit as well.
You've got to think though, Tomiyasu is a defender first, and he can ping balls with his left and right foot. He can do 60, 70-yard passes across the field. He's not there to be an attacking player. He's there. He's a centre half / right back, and what he has done in his position is far better than any right back we've had for the last 10 years. You think what he's done so far? He's absolutely rock solid defender. He's won more aerial duels than almost anybody. He's done more interceptions. He reads the game better, and he cuts out things before they happen. He needs to do his job first before we start going forward. We've got attacking players coming out of every orifice. You can just win the ball, pass it on.
Yeah, I don't want to be too critical of him because, as I said, I am actually a fan of his and I think he's a good player. I think, first and foremost, he's a centre-back, not a full-back. And I think it shows. He's, don't forget that the game we played against Brighton, he got turned inside out for 45 minutes. And it shows he's a centre-back being played out of position. He's solid, but you look at his passing stats compared to the rest of the back five, nowhere near. He does give the ball away.
But Dan, if without focusing down too much on one player, but if his passing stats are lower, and you got Ben White who can pass fantastically, you got Ramsdale who can distribute on the ground as well, which most goalkeepers can't and do passes like that he's done. If he can do defensively his job, I used to say before about Bellerin. If he'd done his job defensively, I'd be fine. I'm not worried about him getting up the pitch too much and crossing. I can't even remember where I was going with that. We probably went on a sidetrack. But overall, what was your thoughts on that result? It was 10 games unbeaten then, Johnny. That was the one where I was going, actually. Odegaard. Dan said about Odegaard that it was a good addition, substitution. Lacazette obviously can only do 50, 70 minutes tops, and he's not match fit. Were you impressed with Odegaard?
No. I think he's struggling a little bit, to be honest. I think he's trying to find his place in the team because the team he came into in the summer isn't the same team we've got now. The team has grown a little bit and it's settled in certain areas, and where we're flexing, those stats you're talking about with Tomiyasu is because when we're changing at the back and having more wide play and stuff like that, and finding where he fits into that is a bit difficult. And Lacazette has come in and sat in that 10/false 9 position, linking play, and he's done a better job than Odegaard has because he's got the experience and the strength and he can win free kicks in those areas. And it's hard for him to then come back in and take that place back from him. So now I think he needs a run of games, and then I think he needs to play well in that run of games. But he's not going to wrestle the starting place back from Lacazette very easily. But I think that Lacazette, with his fitness issues, he's only going to do an hour or so. But if we've won the game, if we've got ourselves in a strong position in those 60 minutes, and then bringing Odegaard in, who can play a through ball, can split a defence, but also is very secure on the ball, he serves a purpose whilst growing into the team. So I think he's kind of doing what we want, but not excelling as much as the other signings have managed to excel. We look at Ben White has excelled, Tavares has excelled, Sambi Lokonga has excelled, and Tomiyasu has excelled. But in comparison, because we already had him before, we already had high expectations. He's come from Real Madrid, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think the thing with Tomiyasu, Ben White maybe to a lesser degree, definitely Ramsdale and the other signings we've made, the expectation was that we were buying in little, and with Odegaard's heritage from Real Madrid, and he was meant to be the new best thing and everything else. Yeah. Ben, what do you make of Odegaard? For me, he looks a very frustrated player. He seems to be gesticulating a lot on the pitch and calling for the ball and getting annoyed when people don't play the ball he wants. If I'm honest, I think at points he comes across as a bit of a prima donna.
I actually like him. I think he's probably one of the only midfielders that can really actually control a tempo of a game. I think he come on against Watford. I thought we'll touch on Watford again. I know, but I thought it was great when he come on. He's the only one we've got that can really kind of. I don't know. We don't really have that one that can I know he's not a Cazorla, but Cazorla used to do it for us. So you could control a tempo of a game of football. Whereas Odegaard wants the ball all the time. He's so hungry for the ball. If he doesn't get that, he is going to be frustrated if he doesn't get the ball that he wants, because he is capable of doing it, and I think he's got a lot to give. And we saw it at the back end of last season, in the run towards the end of last season. He's got a lot of attributes there that we need, and he's going to be a very important player for us. And I think when he did come on against Leicester, we was under the caution. We did need that player to come on and just control that tempo a little bit. And I thought he did it. I thought he was great. And it was great again when he come on against Watford. So to me, his attitude is first class. If he can come on and he's hungry, that's one thing. He's not going to come on and just float his hands around. He wants the ball. He's got a lot to give. I like him. I think he's definitely one that he'll excel as well, especially if we keep going on these runs, and he's going to be a really important player for us.
Scunny says in the chat that was harsh on Oddie Fergus. As I said, a prima donna did sound a little bit harsh, but I just find that I don't know, is it because he's used to a higher standard? Johnny, you were talking about in the chat here that you got into leadership. Do you think do you think Odegaard is a leader?
Well, he's the captain of his national team. He has the leadership qualities. What he is trying to do is not trying to be a prima donna. He's trying to encourage the team and try and actually be a leader, be a captain within the team. Well, I know we kind of got ridiculed and we didn't like the idea of the 5 captains, but if you ever played in a team, you have leaders in the team, and you have players that need to push on. And he's kind of like the slightly more progressed version of the younger players that we have, because he started so much younger and is that leader.
Can he claim a leader position then, Johnny? Because, you can have 11 leaders on the pitch and then you just have a punch up, but you do need some followers as well.
Yeah, you've got to have your players that the other players look towards. And then you've got the guy who's got the armband on. Those can be two different people. And as much as we don't like Granit Xhaka, he is looked up to by the other players to lead in a certain way. But I think with Odegaard in particular, he needs to start leading by example, kind of like Aubameyang does in his better games, and how Thierry used to do it, by not just by shouting and hollering, but he would go out and actually drag the team on. I think we need something a little bit more like that from Odegaard if he wants to really cement his place as a leader within a group. And he's not going to get the armband off of Oba anytime soon, I don't think. But it doesn't mean that he can't. Unlikely. I think you need a strong personality in each phase of the game. We've got a strong goalkeeper. We've got strong centre halves who are showing good strength. We've got KT as a potential captain, and then you go forward to the next line, and you've got Partey as the experienced man, and then you've got Odegaard who can be strong and leaders in that middle, and then you've got Aubameyang and Lacazette towards the top. Each position, each section of the team can have strong personalities and create that spine of strength through the team.
Before we move on to the next game, Dan, did you want to have? Sorry, my voice is about to go again. Dan, do you want to have a quick word? And Pud's good point in there that Xhaka, and as much as I can't stand him, it does assume that role in the dressing room. And I think Mike made a good point as well that Odegaard is still young, so you got to give him some time, which I will do. I haven't chucked him out with the dishwasher with Guendouzi and the others.
No, just a quick point, because I don't know if people have seen it, but there was a video I watched earlier in the week. Don't know how old it is, but it was Lee Dixon, and he was saying about how when Arsene Wenger came in, and he got the ball and he was encouraged to play, and he used to have Vieira running at him, Bergkamp running at him, someone would call for the ball, and they'd be screaming at him saying, "Give me the ball," and then when he gave it to someone, the others would be screaming saying, "Why didn't you give me the ball?" That's what a top player does, and that's what you want from your team. And I've got no problem at all with Odegaard shouting at people saying, "Give me the ball! I want the ball! I want to get on the ball and get this team moving forward." Because I think he does do that. I think he's a little bit hindered at the moment because of the setup of the team, and the reason why Lacazette I think has done so well in his side is because we haven't got a target man or someone that can hold the ball. When Aubameyang plays up top, he isn't that guy. So if we had an old-fashioned centre forward, say a Giroud a few years ago, or a Calvert-Lewin or someone, we can talk about transfers, but then I think he'll sit in that gap and he'll make play, tick over and he'll dictate, like you said with players of the past. But when you haven't got that target man to let the ball fit to, it's hard sometimes for him to be able to play the way he wants to. I think that's the reason why Lacazette's doing well. But like you said, he's still young and he's the boy's obviously got talent. I think he just needs to score more goals.
Dan, you'd be hanging around.
Fergus, I'm with Dan now. I'm with Dan. I just noticed how much we are so much better when we've got that pivot with that link man up front. Lacazette's the only player that we can actually. He's the only one that can actually do that. Aubameyang can't do that. His first touch is a tackle at times. We have started to play better with a number 9 in there, and that's why Lacazette can do that. And like Dan says, players like Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Saka, they will thrive off this link man, and even the wide players as well. I mean, we even like Tierney, he's been under a lot of criticism this season. Well, we're not getting the best out of him. What's the point in him bombing down the line and he's got to cut back in? Because there's no one in the box. There's no movement in the box. We're needing that number 9. I mean, he's cried out. He's okay. It was at Celtic, and the standards obviously a lot less. But he needs that number 9 in there, and he created a hell of a lot of chances and a hell of a lot of goals because he had movement in the box, and it's something that we really need. And like Dan said, we need the upgrade on Lacazette as the next step going forward. It could actually be the difference between a top 4 finish and a top 6 finish this season, a striker. And in January, I think it's a must.
That is a topic that we are going to touch on, which is league position. Before we move on to the Watford game today, people on Twitter, you can see us live streaming on Twitter, Guns and Ribbons, if you want to follow us on Twitter, Guns and Yellow Ribbons and all other platforms, including Instagram and Facebook and everything else. But yeah, you can see my ugly mush and these fine-looking gentlemen on Twitter live as well. So we managed to score 3 goals, miss a penalty. Yet again, it still finished 1-0 to the Arsenal. A very early start. I was at the Tollington, not one of my favourite pubs, but it's a good pub. But I was there to meet some friends. And we got to the stadium. Nowadays, you got to get to the stadium early. And because I got to the stadium early, I was fortunate enough to see, guys, your mics might go mute while I put this on, so make sure you turn them on if you want to talk about it. We got to see the Saka wall. This is all the letters that were sent to Saka after the World Cup. Penalties and some of the other stuff that got on there. So I thought it was a really good touch. It was really nice to see at the stadium and some pictures and so on. Really nice touch. It just connects the players with the current fan base, young fan base as well, and the England fan base. Ben, you haven't been in to see that, have you? You weren't in at the Watford game, were you?
No, I wasn't at the Watford game. No, I've not seen it. I've just seen a lot of pictures of it. Obviously, what you just showed me there, and I think you had another video up, didn't you, the other day? It was actually, I think, Potsy was in it. It was a bit more.
It's the same video. I just overlaid it with some music, Sweet Caroline and stuff like that. The same video, yeah. I
thought it's absolutely incredible. I mean, he deserves all the support that he's had, though, doesn't he? I mean, of course, you're going to get the stupid fan bases. I mean, I think it was Chelsea that come and they were singing about him, and Spurs didn't sing much, but I think they chucked that one in as well about him. But I mean, how can you not give him the support that he deserves? I mean, that looks incredible. That's typical Arsenal class, though, isn't it? It's just what he deserves.
Especially being such a young player. Dan, you saw it on we met on front of that wall. For anybody who wants to go and see us on the lower tier, between Block 5 and Block 4, so a little bit round from where we normally meet, Johnny, it's the next section along. Dan, what did you make of what you saw?
To be honest, I've seen it more clearly on the video than I did then, because the state that I arrived at the start of that game.
Yeah, you were polluted. You'd been out the night before, and you.
Yeah, I was massively struggling. I'm not normally a 5 minute before the game person. I normally try and get there a bit earlier, but I was struggling that day.
Honestly, I thought we swapped I thought we swapped places. I thought, like, Christ, have we like switched bodies? I'm normally as drunk as that. You were absolutely ruined.
It's just the influence of Fergus, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's been rubbing off. Johnny, what did you think of the lineup? Everyone was talking about the fact that Partey wasn't playing and that Maitland-Niles was put in that position. Otherwise, the lineup remained more or less the same. We're slightly overrunning at the minute as well, by the way. But that is his preferred. I do. It's his preferred position, and he's got a point to prove. It was a very young defensive midfield. He done well. Personally, I done one of Lee Judge's fan cam things for Lee Judge's TV, and I said I didn't see much of him. And from my position, and trying to take out Dan because he was so drunk, from my position, I didn't see a huge amount of him from there. What did you make him? Watching afar from on TV, you and Ben will have made more of a decision on that.
Well, I thought that he was. Some people class him as lackadaisical. He's a little bit too laboured, and he doesn't have that sense of urgency. But in that position, he kind of takes a step back and knows that he's got the pace in order to recover, and he reads the game, and he actually cut out quite a lot of things before they developed. And the fact that you didn't see a lot of him is kind of testament to the fact that he did such a good job. Because the flashy stuff is the stuff that you notice and see in the last-ditch Xhaka tackles and sliding tackles like that. I don't want to see that. I want to see someone noticing the development of a play, cut out the ball and pass it. Like Gilberto Silva used to do. Yeah, he used to get his foot in, but he did far more of his work intercepting the ball, intercepting play, breaking it up, and giving it to the person who's going to do something with it. And Maitland-Niles did fantastically doing that. It was only in that... Towards the end of the first half, he stepped back a little bit too much, and that was when Leicester started to come in onto us a little bit more, and that he got a bit of stick for that. But he was consistent all the way through the game. He pressed up high really well when he needed to. His pass percentage was very, very good. His interception led to a goal. I thought it was a brilliant performance from him. And when Partey and co go to the Africa Cup of Nations, I feel a little bit more comfortable knowing that we've got one more player that we can rely on a little bit more to step in.
Ben, your thoughts on his performance? Like Johnny talks about Gabriel, sorry, not a Gabriel, Silva, sort of Gilberto, sorry, esque performance, Edu, and so on. And those were the sort of players that used to just like glide along in the background, very unnoticed. Is that how Maitland-Niles played for you on Sunday?
Yeah, he had a great game actually. I thought it was superb. Like Johnny said, it's just that one to just break the play up and just release it to the players around him that's going to do a little bit more on the ball. There's no flash stuff with him. The hard work sometimes goes unnoticed, but with him it definitely went noticed. I mean, I think there was a time literally just before the end of the game when he was in the corner flag and he was trying to hold on to the ball and he was protecting the ball, and I think it was the last couple of minutes, I'm sure, and it was.
That's the only bit I saw of him, Ben.
And the crowd got up and it was just brilliant. But during the game, I think sometimes you can see a little bit more watching on the telly where the players are just sticking their foot in here and there where you don't actually see when you're at the game. But I mean, it didn't go unnoticed. I thought he had a really good game, really solid game. And yeah, like Johnny said, like when it comes to January, we're going to need these players to come in, and the squad's going to need to be good. And if he comes in and he's putting in performances like that, then we're going to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, Dan, I don't know how many questions I can ask you on this game. Have you watched Match Today 2? Have you watched anything?
Don't worry, I'm well up to speed.
Okay, that's fine. The first goal that was disallowed, the Saka offside. Laka taps it to Aubameyang, and Aubameyang taps it to Saka. Should Aubameyang just put his laces through it?
I don't know, the way they're trained is find a player in a better position. But he didn't try and pass it. It was a bad touch, and it just went to Saka. He obviously didn't have the best of games of Aubameyang, but one of those things. I think I still felt we were comfortable throughout most of the game. To be honest with you, we missed chances. We should have scored more, but.
So if you haven't got a comment on the Aubameyang, that what you say like was a bad touch, what about the foul for the penalty? Danny Rose, practically decapitates Lacazette. Surely that should have been a red. What's VAR there for?
Is that not dangerous play? He's literally just caught him, clotheslined him through was he caught him there or something I think he got him. Danny Rose, isn't it? Really, no one likes him anyway. But it's just
never even got a yellow.
Yeah, definitely.
All game.
I don't understand what VAR is doing. To be honest with you, I know they've taken a step back from last year, and quite rightly so in some places. But there are some very questionable challenges at the moment that should be reds and are not even barely being looked at.
We could flick back to the Leicester game. I got some photos of the Man City foul versus the Aubameyang foul, and one was a red card, one wasn't. But I don't want to get into that one because we've moved forward to this game. But Johnny, what is VAR doing? It's a good question that Danny puts forward there. That Dan puts forward there.
I think they're taking a slightly lighter touch. The referees are using the screens more. Yes, there is a problem with consistency, but I think that only really comes if you have the same people in the VAR room, whereas they keep having on-field referees taking a turn in the VAR room, where really you should have a VAR set of referees who are consistent in their approach to the game. But it's an evolving thing, and I think each year we've had it has got better. But, it's better than when it was just referees. There are more correct decisions, and we're not getting diddled out of wins or goals or anything that we did before. But it's not perfect because it's still down to a human. So I'd rather still have the human error than them trying to be over pedantic like they was last year.
I'd say we benefited from it. You touched on Maitland-Niles.
Yeah.
I'm glad he done it, and that's the sort of thing we need in the team. A bit like they do at City to break up play, but that was a foul from Maitland-Niles before the goal.
Yeah,
we're going to get into that one in a second. Before we get there, Aubameyang's penalty, Ben. Yet again, he takes the same penalty. It's a bit lackluster, don't you think?
Right,
it's catch-22, though, isn't it? If you say to him, take you off of penalties, you kind of knock his confidence, and it's already a bit sensitive. You got to let it. If your player wants to take the penalty, then you got to let him play it. It's that you catch 22. It's a win. It's a lose or a win-win.
I saw a stat yesterday. I think he's only scored 10 out of 15 penalties. So that's quite a miss statistic. So. And Lacazette has taken 8 out of 8. And if he's on the pitch, for me, Lacazette takes the penalties. He's so much more comfortable. I was right behind the goal when he missed the one when Martinez saved him against Villa. Okay, it was a good save. But I think even when he runs up, he just doesn't look that confident. And I saw it so clearly, obviously watching it on the telly against Watford. He just looks a nervous wreck. He just doesn't look that confident to take it. He's obviously saying that, yeah, I'm okay to take it. But, to me, the way he stepped up on Sunday was the way he just get down and hit it. It was no where I'm going to put it, what corner am I going to put it in? It was literally just get up and hit it. And it was an awful penalty. It's not, you don't mind if it, the Martinez one was pretty decent height for him, but it's still a really good save and it was right in the corner. But with this one, it was just he just literally stepped up and hit it. He should be taken off the next penalty. He should be. But will he? I don't know.
I to be honest, I agree. If you've done that twice in a row, and if you're looking at, I haven't seen that stat of 30% of his penalties and over the last 15 that he's missed, he shouldn't be stepping up. And if his confidence, which Heath says he's been found out as a striker and a penalty taker, I think again a little bit strong. I think everyone has got strong emotional feelings about things like this, but. If he's not showing confidence, the one thing you need to do as a penalty taker is be confident. The first goal, Lakonga takes out Tufan. Was that a foul in the first place? Because that's the one that they're all talking about. That he lies down, and I could see this. He lies down, and there's nothing wrong with him. Danny Rose kicks the ball out of play, and then Tufan gets to get up. But he bellows to say, like, stay down to Tufan. In the meantime, who mentioned the foul? Was it you, Dan, that mentioned the foul by Maitland-Niles? Yeah, that was a stronger foul than the first one in the first place. But Ranieri and Watford are complaining about the ball being kicked out, but they were trying to play tactics as well. Dan, since you mentioned it, I'll go to you, then Ben, then Johnny. Go on.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to see the ball given back in that situation most times, apart from when you start seeing teams kick the ball out of play to slow things down and waste time. I would probably feel hard done by if it was the other way around and we didn't get the ball given back. Having said that, an awful long time since then to the goal. I think they had the ball themselves in between that and lost it. So, I think that's a bit too much for them to complain about, even though I feel hard done by. The foul for me is a foul, but fantastic from our point of view, exactly what we want from our team. And then a great goal from it.
Ben, over to you.
Yeah, well, we had an incident years ago. You boys all should remember it anyway, when we didn't give the ball back to Sheffield United after the ball went out, and that was a totally different incident altogether. I mean, it might have been a foul by Maitland-Niles, but the fact that they was playing some games there, trying to waste time and things like that. And yeah, they did. They actually had possession of the ball at one point during that move. So there's quite a lot of time between the ball coming back into play and hitting the back of the net. But the good thing in our point of view was the fact that we just kept going. I mean, Ben White plays an absolutely stormer for his part in the goal, and everyone just kept going. It was, do you know what pleased me the most is the ugly side that has been lacking for such a long time, and just trying to match these teams with what they're trying to do. We're not letting them bully us. We are getting on top of them. We're kind of playing these little games. We're not going to let them walk all over us, and it was nice to see. And it was a great finish. And yeah, okay, over the whole context of the game, we should have been 3 or 4-0, but it was 1-0 to the Arsenal, and it was a scrappy the goal that done it. So it's actually quite pleasing.
Johnny, we didn't get bullied. Watford tried every tactic going. In that move, that the ball was kicked out. By the time my voice is really struggling, Tufan was back up on his feet by the time the ball and the second foul happened. Whether the second foul was picked up or not by Maitland-Niles is irrelevant. It wasn't picked up by the ref. It wasn't picked up by VAR. So the goal's good, isn't it?
It plays to the whistle at the end of the day. They had Dan made the point is that they can't moan about the play not being given back because they had the ball. If they wanted the ball, they got the ball back whether they wanted it or not. At the end of the day, they had the ball back. The foul wasn't given by Maitland-Niles, and you played to the whistle, and it was a fair goal. They're lucky to have only lost 1-0. They're lucky because on another day with somebody else's set of Aubameyang, probably would have won 2-3-0 easy. I think
that's a really good point, Johnny. That's a really good point. On another day, maybe against another team, could have been beaten more heavily than they were playing Arsenal, and this is links into a little bit about what we're going to talk about after this game. Like we can touch on the Odegaard second disallowed goal and so on, but I think the Watford game is top it done. But the talk among people going saying we're on an 11-game unbeaten run, and our next game coming up is Liverpool. We're away at Liverpool 5:30 on Saturday, not this Saturday, the following Saturday, and would Watford been beaten more heavily by somebody else further up the league? If West Ham, if we use them as an example, would they have beaten them more heavily than we did on the day?
I think it was a little bit of twist of luck when it come to the Saka disallowed goal was down to a poor touch by Aubameyang. If he would have had a little bit more control, he would have had the ball and he would have banged it in. Simple as. Is that first touch let him down? And the thing with the second disallowed goal, it was because he was so desperate after missing that penalty and not getting the follow-up. It was a striker's instinct to try and get on the end of it. I think if he would have scored the penalty and not missed that first one, he would have tried to intercept it. So it's all, flutter of a butterfly's wing. It has a knock-on effect just making those earlier mistakes. I think, yes, a little bit more luck, a bit on another day would have been a lot better off.
Ben, does a better, for the want of a better word, bear in mind we're top 5 and we're only 6 points off the top of the league currently at the minute. Does a better organised, a better team, and the only reason I'm using the word better is because our first 3 games of the season, because otherwise if we didn't have those first 3 games of the season, everybody would be saying, wow, Arsenal are on, they're on. Would a better team have given Watford a bigger challenge?
I just think we had our chances to have won the game very convincingly. If it had been 4-5-0, no one would have had probably any complaints really. I mean, if you think like what happened again, if we scored a penalty, that's obviously one goal. If Aubameyang's more ruthless in front of goal instead of fluffing it, and then it goes to Saka for that chance, Aubameyang scores all day long. That's another goal. And then like Johnny said about the touch that Odegaard's shot was probably hitting the post and going in, but because Aubameyang hasn't scored early on in the game, his instinct is to get on the end of it, and it's instead of looking along the line, he's wanting to put the ball in the back of the net. And another day, that's a goal for Odegaard probably. Like I say, you don't know if it's going in or not, but it looks, from the angles I've seen, it looks like it's going to hit the post and go in. But yeah, on another day, could have been 4 or 5, but we just got to take it. It wasn't a lucky 1-0. It's not one of those games where it was a lucky 1-0. It wasn't. It should have been more, but it was 1-0 to the Arsenal. We just clean sheet and we just carry on, don't we? So right to keep the run going.
A year ago, it would have been a draw. A year ago, it would have been a draw. So it's progression in evidence.
Like I said earlier, the most pleasing thing is we matched them for roughing it up, and we competed, and for man, they all gave what they wanted to give, and that's the most thing. We can actually win games a little bit ugly. I know it was only 1-0, but we can start with thinking we in other games as well. We've the likes of Burnley away as well as another prime example where we've won a game a little bit ugly, and in the past they probably would have been draws. So it's pleasing.
And Dan, I was actually going to cite Burnley away. Since Burnley away, we look like we haven't been bullied anymore. We're going to Liverpool after the international break. Liverpool, one of the best teams in the land at the minute. They've got all these superstars. I again mention West Ham, and only because it's local to me, but bar Van Dijk, they looked quite ordinary on Sunday night, and Van Dijk kept them in the game. Where do you think? What's good as a result? Clearly 3 points, but realistically, what's a good result at Anfield?
I think, given our run of form and given the way they are, I don't see why we can't go there and take the 3 points. No one's expecting us to turn them over, but I think we're in a much better place now at the moment. Our strength as a team isn't going forward and as an attacking side. It is being solid as a unit. Liverpool will definitely test us in that way. We're not going to. It's not going to be a physical battle, but Liverpool always raise their game against us, and play great football against us, and they will try to open us up, move us from side to side, and that will test how strong we are defensively. I think we're in a better place now to hit them on the counter, and if we can get a goal, I think we can now see it out and keep a clean sheet if we score first.
I'm hoping you're right. If I'm honest, as long as we've got a proper performance in, I'd take a draw now. And even as much as I hate it, if we lost 1-0, but we really showed that we put a proper decent performance and we didn't get, bullied off the pitch, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Listen, I want to wind this up because it's my wife's birthday.
Fergus, can I quickly say on the Liverpool game? Well, I've been used to obviously going up there again. I've seen plenty of hide-ins over the last 10 years, and I've got sick of literally just rolling over. What gives me the encouragement is the fact that I feel like we've got a team there. We've got a team there that's playing for Arteta. We've also got a team there that's playing for each other, and we've also got a team there that's playing for the fans. And that gives me... I'm not confident going up there. I mean, we're silly to think we're confident to go up there. But I feel like we're going up there with a chance to go and get something, not in a confident way, if you see what I mean. I feel like we can put in a performance to be proud of. And when we've suffered so many dismal performances over the years, it would just, even if we lost 1-0, but we competed with them toe to toe, that's the most important thing for me. And but if we could get a result, they're not world beaters at the moment. I mean, they drew with Brighton, but we can give it a go.
We're going to cover the Liverpool game in a bit more depth next week. Johnny, you were going to have something in there. I think. Are you going to reiterate what Gary said?
I just want to point something. I was just going to point out that no one's actually mentioned that we're 2 points behind Liverpool. If we beat them, we go above them. I think that is a carrot. That is a carrot for the team. That is a motivation for the team. So look where we came from at the beginning of the season, and look at where we are now. And we take that chance. And they're a depleted team because there's no Firmino, there's no Naby Keita. They aren't. Was it their new centre back Konate? He's not there either. So it's not out of the realms of possibility that we can go there and give them a game. As long as we give them a game, I'm happy. Win, lose or draw. As long as we compete against one of the best teams in the world with the best player in the world. Mo Salah is the best player in the world at the moment. I think. And who's going to play? Who's going to play up against him?
Listen, we got two or three of the most rising best players in the world currently in the minute. We got Smith Rowe and Gabriel who've had late calls up for England and Brazil. Good luck to them. Yeah. Just hope they come back unscathed. I honestly, bar tournament, I couldn't give a monkeys about international football. Ireland are playing Portugal, I think, tonight at Lansdowne Road or the Aviva Stadium or whatever it's called. Hey, I'm on here. If it was a tournament, I'd be watching it. The odds of Arsenal getting to the top 4 have been slashed. But one quick round robin before we finish. Title challengers. If West Ham can think, and I was on the tube on the way back from the Watford game, and there was some young kids on there, and granted there were young kids. And this kid's about 8 or 9. I said, good result for you today against Liverpool. He said, yeah. He said, are you going to win the league now? I said, yeah, we're going to get Champions League. So if young West Ham fans, good luck to them, think that, surely with 6 points off the top, Dan, surely we've got to think we've got an outside chance of a title challenge?
Title challenge, no. Nowhere near a title challenge. We're not. The problem with our side is we're a young side and we are going to be inconsistent. And as fans, I only hope that this positivity we've got now continues because there will be some lows. And it will not just be a straight line, up to winning the title. Top 4, though,
well said,
absolutely have a very, very good chance. And I think the reason why we have such a good chance is partly down to our improvement, partly down to the other teams around us that look poor. Start of the season, I would have said top 4 was nailed on to be Chelsea, Liverpool, City and United. United look poor at the moment. And if we can start to creep ahead of them, and the answer to this question will be seen when we play Liverpool. If we can start to take points off the teams around us in the top 4 and top 6, then we've got a great chance to finish in the top 4. The only caveat to that for me that worries me is when we lose players in January.
True. Johnny, briefly, your thoughts on title and top 4?
I think top 4 is realistic ambition. Title challenge isn't a realistic ambition because the consistency and quality of Chelsea, Man City are better than us, and Liverpool, when they get their players back, will be able to pull away again as well. So I think 4th place is realistic. But when we looked at the beginning of the season, 5th, 6th was realistic ambition for us. We just don't want the Conference League.
I was thinking 7th or 8th, but there we go. Ben, final word on top 4 and title dreams. And when I sent you my idea of what we're going to talk about, you replied back, I had a giggle at that bit.
Yeah, title there was a few laughing faces there, wasn't it? Realistically, at the start of the season, we had to obviously the main thing was to try and get back into Europe. So my putting everything into perspective at the start of the season, I would have said we got to get in the top 6 again, get back into Europe. But the way that other teams are not overly convincing, I think. With the run we were on, the feel-good factor amongst the connection between the fans and the players. I think Arteta's actually got some sort of balance there between defending and attack, which was lacking for a long time. That's key as well. And also, I think the other I said earlier on, I think the key in January is us getting another striker. I think that could be the difference in the top 4 and the top 6 this year. We need another striker in there, but we also got to look up to players like Aubameyang. They've got to be a bit more ruthless. I mean, I keep saying about the captaincy business. I think he could do with it away from him to concentrate on his own performances. And he's going to be a huge player, isn't he? So, I mean, there's hope there. These next 4 games, I mean, you take the Newcastle one out, it's still going to be a tough home game. We've got 3 away games now: Liverpool away, United away, and Everton away. This is these next 12 points up for grabs now is massive to see where what position we could actually be in coming into the new year. It's a big sighter for me, these next 4 games.
That's true. Guys, thank you very much. Before we go, David Dean, a really good ambassador for our club, and was a man that helped Arsene Wenger build the side that he did. He was at it was a Wenger Dean, one of these open. I can't remember the right.
An audience with David Dean and Arsene Wenger.
Yeah. And he came along and mentioned this.
Came in were French. In fact, I often use this story, and it's true, about Patrick, who is here. And Patrick, of course, as you know, he came from Milan, and he couldn't speak a word of English. And we had to make sure he settled down well. We gave him a teacher. We made sure he had a nice house, a car, a mobile phone. And after a couple of weeks, I went down into the dressing room and I said, Patrick, est-ce que tu peux dire quelque chose en anglais? Can you speak something in English? He said, oui, Monsieur Dean. Yes, Mr. Dean. I said, qu'est-ce que tu peux dire? What can you say? He looked at me and he said, Tottenham Archie.
That is absolutely priceless. Hopefully YouTube don't ban the bloody program just because of it. Guys, Ben, thanks very much on breaking your duck on here. Hopefully we'll see you on again.
Didn't he also say that came from Ray Parlour, by the way?
He did indeed.
Yeah, I think he did.
I only stopped it because there's only a certain length of time that you can go with it before YouTube started clamping down. They'll already probably have clamped down on me anyway. So,
Fergus, thanks for having me on, though. Fergus, thanks for having me on.
You're more than welcome.
I know it's been a long time coming. We'll touch up on a bit. We'll touch up on a bit more of atmosphere-wise another time. But I was just laughing at Paul's comment a minute ago, saying it's the longest I've spoken without breaking into a song. Probably right.
But to be honest, Ben, I really do want to get onto the atmosphere thing. Not tonight, but we got the international break and the Liverpool game. So if you're around next week, Wednesday, maybe we'll have a chat then. And
yeah,
we'll
definitely.
We'll take that
definitely.
offline and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Dan, just you need to top up those Moroccan sunset highlights, So
Good, to be honest with you. All right, then I'll have a look later in the mirror.
I'm not sure there's enough highlights for me.
They're all low lights with you, John, I'm afraid. But I am very impressed with the shirt. Listen,
There's only one Perry Groves.
There's only one Perry Groves. That you have been watching and listening, Guns and Yellow Ribbons. We're all full of cold, all full of COVID. But a big shout out to my man Trev. Trev has texted me and he's all right with me mentioning it to him. Trev's down with COVID right now, and he hasn't been very, very well. Hence why he hasn't been here, and hence why we weren't here last week. So a big shout out to my good friend. Get well soon. I'm in touch with Trevor and also his wife Donna. But we're there for you, mate. We want you back on here. I need somebody to be taking the piss out of me all the time. Otherwise, this isn't funny. It's just me just talking all the time, isn't it?
I'm happy to help.
But guys, what's that?
I'm happy to help. I don't mind.
Oh no, you'll ruin me even worse. All right, boys. Thanks very much. Up the arse.
You've been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Follow us on Facebook at Guns and Yellow Ribbons and Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. And remember to rate and review us too.
Yeah, you're still on mute at the moment. Wait, hang on a second. We're still on live, boys, so don't start doing the swearing bit just yet. So, Gary, give us a song then, Ben, for Gary.
Right, okay, as it's Liverpool away next week, we'll sing You Are a Scouser, a filthy Scouser, you're only happy on Gyro Day, your nan's out stealing, your dad's drug dealing, you'll never take our record away, la 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 la.
Well, Ben, I'll tell you what.
Careful what you wish for.
If the YouTube clip of David Dean doesn't get us taken down, I think that might do.
Oh Jesus,
Gary, I'm really appreciative, boys. I'm gonna cough myself to death. Oh, brilliant! That was absolutely brilliant.
I had to do it.
Right, see you later, guys. Up the Arsenal.
Up the arse.